take any questions you have on the certificate or any other subject that you're curious about.
Of those 600, how many are gainfully employed that have been through the program?
You want to take that? Steve?
I can do that. At this point, we don't have good figures on that. We are beginning to collect that because some of those 600 have just finished the program in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Anecdotally, I can tell you that we have had a lot of students who have gone through the program and have become employed. Tim mentioned Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters now is hiring out of the Career Readiness Program. So if students go through the Career Readiness Program, they are given priority hiring at Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. And as an example, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters is probably one of the companies, the fastest growing companies in the state, and they are fully utilizing that, both here in Vermont and in all of their plants around the country and in Canada.
Is there a cost to the student?
No, there is no cost. We've been, with funding from the Department of Labor, we have been able to offer this free to participants. We also, for companies that have, like Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, people who are starting to really use it extensively in their business, now Green Mountain Coffee Roasters is actually paying the Community College of Vermont to run the program in their plant. But we've been able to offer this free to participants, which is a terrific benefit.
So how's it work for the typical, not the Green Mountain Coffee situation, but others, like who goes where, to be taught by who?
It's a great question. The Community College of Vermont has 12 different locations throughout the state. We pride ourselves in being within 25 miles of every Vermonter. So, and we have been, for the last year and a half, we've been offering that program in all 12 of our locations. So if you live in Newport, you could go to our Newport location. If you live in Brattleboro or Putney, you could go to our Brattleboro location. We're going to start offering it as in hub locations, and we're going to offer it much more frequently in the hubs because it gives us a chance. We have more of the volume in our hubs, but we will go out to smaller communities if that's a need.
So anybody can just show up at one of those and say, I want this?
Well, they go through, there is an application process, and the application process isn't meant to be exclusive or to rule out people, but it's meant to help prepare students for, because it's a 60-hour program. There's a fair amount of homework that's involved, so people need to know what they're getting into. They can walk into a Department of Labor office or to a Community College of Vermont office and inquire about it and start the process.
So employment isn't part of the certificate, so you can go in and get this program and you don't have to have a job prior to that.
That's correct. And one of the things that we have done, we build into this program is a lot of interviewing. And so built into the program, we bring a lot of businesses into the course or business leaders, and they actually conduct the interviews, so it's a real live interview. And we have had, what is very interesting, we've had a lot of business leaders who come in and interview, and then we'll ask the person, can I keep your resume? And a lot of our students have gotten callbacks the next day, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, offering those people jobs, which has been a great, it's just, it's exposure.
So if people out there are sitting there thinking, if they don't have a job and they want to go to do this, what kind of level might they expect? Are they, what kind of level of job does it produce, or level of education?
The way this program is built, and the reason why we have invested heavily in the Work Keys program, is it can accommodate people at really varying levels. We have had people who have joined that program who don't know how to use a computer and have a GED or dropped out of high school. And on the other end, we have had people who have master's degrees who have really been trying to figure out either they've lost their competitive edge in some way, or they've lost their confidence, they've lost the ability to think, okay, what are my skills? And so with Work Keys, a lot of it is about progressing at the pace that you need to and starting at the level that you need to start at. So every student deals with improving their math skills, improving their writing skills, improving their computer skills. But the piece that's probably, I think, makes this program the most significant, and what we've heard back from employers, is the whole soft skills component. Helping people to learn to work in teams, helping people to understand the work ethic piece, helping them to gain the confidence that they need to go out and look for a job.
You might mention the profiles.
Yes, Tim just mentioned, a companion piece to this is something we've started to offer businesses, and it's job profiling. As part of the Work Keys program, they have what they call profiling. They profiled 200,000 jobs throughout the country. And it's really, they determine, they go into a company, like they look at an LPN level, or they look at an RN, or they look at a CNA, and they say, okay, what level of math, what level of reading, what level of computer skills does a student need? And they will actually profile that against the Work Keys certification. And so it creates the opportunity for an individual to say, this is the job I'd like, and here are my skills. What do I need to do to get there? And Green Mountain Coffee Roasters has been a real proponent of job profiling, because they have been in such a fast hiring mode around the country. They are trying to figure out what level of skills do we need to be hiring for these level of positions. So they have actually contracted with us to go in and profile a lot of their different positions. So then when they're hiring, they look at students who have gone through the career readiness program, they look at their skill level, and then they are able to match it up with the skills that are needed in that particular job.
The 60-hour course, is that 20 meetings in a 3-hour class, or how does that break down?
Yes, generally, the traditional way is we set it up to meet 2 times a week for 3 hours each time for a 10-week program. But we, again, have been able to tailor this to businesses. So if they want them to meet less often, more often, we also have a program now that we're developing in response to some specific business needs as a fast-track program, which is much more intensive, and it's done over a 5-week period.
So you're getting federal labor money to do this, that's what you said?
Yes, it's a combination of state and federal.
State,
money.
and there's no requirement to track who's got a job?
We are tracking that. This is, as the governor referred, this is a pilot program, and so we are working with the Department of Labor to set up how we are tracking the employment data, because we do need to be held accountable. We want to make sure that students are getting it. What we've done now is we do informal surveys, but we actually are able to collect the employment data from the Department of Labor by feeding them information, but it's that piece, the formal part of that tracking is we're still developing.
How much money is it, state and federal?
We are currently getting a $200,000 grant from the Department of Labor to run this.
Is that the federal Department of Labor?
It's a
No,
combination of
that's
state, that's state money.
And how much federal money is coming in?
It depends on the participants. That's attached to participants if they're eligible to receive Workforce Investment Act training dollars. So that may attach to individual participants.
But it's roughly $500,000, 200
That's
state
right.
fed.
And how many might come through the program? What would your capacity?
We have 600 individuals who have gone through it in the past year and a half. We expect between 200 and 300 to go through this next year.
In the public offering?
In the public offerings, that's correct. Because we're, the other piece of this is that as businesses are finding it more and more valuable, when we offer it right in their plan, they step up and pay for that offering.
What does it cost a business typically to sponsor an employee?
If they want us to, they contract with us to run a class, and it's $15,000 to run a class.
If an employer wants their jobs profiled, who would they contact?
They would contact the Community College of Vermont or the Department of Labor. We work really closely together, and we know where we are.
So how many businesses participate in a given year?
Well, we've only been doing it a year, and last year I believe we had 6 or 8 businesses. And it is something that is really catching on. We have started to have a tremendous number of inquiries.
So if I'm a business, I pay $15,000, I can put how many employees through it?
You can put up to 20 employees. And I think what's really attractive to the businesses that have started to do that is they are already investing a lot of, they have their own training programs. And I think what we heard in the industry sectors, that we're hiring people at the entry level who don't have the skills to access our training programs. And so they've had to step back and figure out how do we offer these entry-level programs that get people up to the level to be able to access what we would consider our traditional training programs. And so they feel like this is cost savings for them. And the other piece is if they can hire appropriate people, it's a cost savings to them because of just the whole job retention and recruiting piece that follows.
There's a large cadre of potential employees out there in Vermont who don't know how to show up for work on time, don't have basic math skills, don't know how to do teamwork. What does that say about our education, our basic K-12 educational system?
Well, I think, there are huge challenges, and, there are people who the education system either has served them well or hasn't served them well, and they've been floating around, the time isn't right for them, and now all of a sudden they've decided that they need to step up and they need to keep a job, they need to stay. They want other things in life, they want a different life for themselves. I'll tell you one of the huge motivating factors, and this is from a community college perspective, is we see a lot of people for whom education, the traditional education system did not work for them. But when they have a child, that is one of our #1 motivators. If you ask people, why did I come back, why did I enroll at the community college of Vermont? They want something better for their child, and they want a better life for themselves. So there are many trigger points. I think we can all think of those things in terms of what triggered us to really pay attention to what was being offered us. And they're different for everyone. But I think, it's a great question and one that, I think we all struggle with.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thanks.